Welcome to the first countdown to game day. I'm Todd Vinyard, the online editor at djournal.com, and today I'm joined by Parrish Alford, the Ole Miss writer for the Daily Journal, and Gregg Ellis, who covers Mississippi State for the Daily Journal. We're going to talk about college football and get ready for game day this week. We'll start out with Gregg and Mississippi State. It's been quite a year so far for the Bulldogs. We've got a 24-year-old cowbell here, generously donated as a prop for this show, and it looks like the Bulldogs have a chance to do something really special. I know you wrote about it in today's paper. They really need 2 more wins and could go bowling.
Last time they had this many wins, Parrish Alford was covering the Bulldogs.
Wow.
Going back to 2000. Everything you write now, the last time was 2000. Kind of like for him, 2003 with Ole Miss. So, yeah, they got to get 2 more wins, and first up will be Tennessee on Saturday.
Talk about those 2 more wins. Where do you see those maybe coming?
Longest play they gave up was 30 yards, and they didn't give up a lot of those. And so they did that a little bit better against a lesser opponent, but they're hoping to take some momentum from that in a week of practice and have more success getting SEC ball carriers to the ground. You know, Coach O says he needs some SEC players, but he got a lot of grief for those comments. But anyway, they hope to have better luck tackling some SEC backs this week against Alabama.
Well, how do you see that game with Alabama matching up for Ole Miss?
Well, if they can get the guys to the ground, I think they can compete and stay in the game. Ole Miss, if they win this game, and I think they do match up fairly well on offense, it'll be with offense. They had a very poor offensive game against Louisiana Tech. 65 yards rushing. Seth Adams throws 3 interceptions. He was not as sharp as he's been in the first 5 games. If he gets back on track, Alabama's kind of middling defensive team this year. I could see Ole Miss having some success at home and getting the running game going again. They've been all over the map with the running game, and Adams throws the ball like he did in the first 5 games. I could see Ole Miss putting some points on the board, and I could see an upset here.
Wow, okay. Gregg, Tennessee, next up for Mississippi State. They had a big game against Georgia coming off of that. How do you see that matchup, and what do you think will happen in that game?
It's kind of a trap game, I guess you could say, because they're coming off the big win at Georgia. They got Alabama in 2 weeks, so Mississippi State may be catching them right. The key is getting pressure on Eric Ames, the quarterback at Tennessee. Problem is, nobody's been able to do that. 6 games, he's been sacked on twice this year, and their offensive line's done a great job. State's got to run the ball, but more than anything, they've got to throw the ball, and that's been a problem. They're last in the SEC, but when everybody gets hurt, when I say everybody, talking about quarterbacks, you're going to struggle, and that's where they struggled at.
You talked about quarterbacks, and Parrish, you talked about Seth Adams. It seems from your story and from what I saw, he probably had one of his tougher days of this season. What do you think they'll need to do with him to have a little better luck against Alabama?
I think just run the ball. That makes everything a little easier. And the difference in this year and last year, for Seth Adams, a tough game. He throws 3 picks, but in the midst of that, he throws 2 touchdown passes. And that's an element they just didn't have last year. The receivers are getting involved in the game. They got a guy who's throwing better than 46% that Brent Schaefer completed last year. So, yeah, I think Seth will bounce back. I do. A lot of it just depends on, can they run the ball? And they were very good against Missouri. They were good against Georgia. They were good a lot of the Vanderbilt game, and they've just been weak in some aspects. And 65 yards against Louisiana Tech, that's tough to swallow. But if they can establish something on the ground, I think you'll see a lot more underneath passing, getting Marche Green, Dexter McCluster more involved. That's going to be the key for Ole Miss. Now,
Look for that. What do you think, looking at both these games, who would you pick?
I pick Alabama, okay, because I have seen Ole Miss come close. I haven't seen Ole Miss close the deal and beat a quality SEC opponent. And, I've seen them struggle in the fourth quarter, so there's not a confidence there that makes me circle Ole Miss on that pick sheet. When it comes down to it, I can see them winning this game. I think it'll be close. The last several games with Alabama have been. But I'm not confident that they'll make enough improvement in tackling to get this win.
And Gregg, a lot of Anthony Dixon maybe?
A lot of
be
Anthony
enough?
Dixon.
Well,
No.
Iowa State then.
It can't just be Anthony Dixon. You got to be able to throw the ball. You got some good receivers in Aubrey Bell and Tony Burks. You got to get the ball too. But at the end of the day, Tennessee is just a little bit better on both sides of the ball, and particularly in their kicking game. They're great in their kicking game. And I see a 27-17, 27-14 win for Tennessee.
Well, great. Well, thanks both of you for joining us. We hope you'll read Game Day Saturday to get ready for it, and then Sunday, read all the action from Gregg and Parrish, and also check out their blogs online each day with reports about Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Thanks for joining us.